In this podcast episode, author Andrew Roberts discusses his book, Churchill, Walking with Destiny. The book has gained immense popularity and continues to sell thousands of copies every year. Roberts sheds light on the life of Winston Churchill, a man who shaped the destiny of the country. Winston Churchill was born in Blenheim Palace, the grandest of all ducal palaces, in 1874. He came from an upper-class Victorian background, with his father being a successful politician and his mother an American heiress. Despite Churchill painting himself as a mediocre student, he excelled in subjects like history and English. He eventually attended Sandhurst, where he trained to become a cavalry officer. Churchill's military career was marked by bravery and daring exploits. He fought in various campaigns across different continents, including the northwest frontier of India and the Boer War in South Africa. His escape from a prisoner of war camp during the Boer War made him a celebrity and a hero of the British Empire. Despite facing death multiple times, Churchill's courage and resilience shone through. After unsuccessful attempts at entering politics, Churchill finally became an MP and later served as the First Lord of the Admiralty. When World War I broke out, he played a crucial role in mobilizing the British Navy. However, the disastrous Gallipoli campaign, which was Churchill's idea, led to his resignation from the government. He then chose to fight in the trenches, displaying his commitment to redemption and service to his country. Churchill's career was not without challenges and setbacks. The Gallipoli campaign haunted him, and he faced criticism for his decisions. Despite public scrutiny, Churchill learned from his mistakes and never overruled the chiefs of staff during World War II. His experiences in World War I and the subsequent depression he faced shaped his understanding of war and leadership. Churchill was acutely aware of Britain's declining power and influence during and after World War I. He recognized the rise of the United States and the challenges posed to the British Empire. His staunch defense of the empire and his efforts to prevent its dissolution reflected his deep-rooted imperialist beliefs. One of the key moments in his political career was his stance against Bolshevism, where he advocated for sending the British Army to help the White Russians in their fight against communism. Despite facing criticism for this stance, Churchill believed that it was a necessary step to prevent the spread of Soviet communism and save millions of lives. Churchill's political career was marked by several shifts in allegiance, moving between the conservative and liberal parties based on his beliefs and principles. He faced criticism from both sides of the political spectrum for his decisions, but he remained steadfast in his convictions. He made mistakes along the way, such as his opposition to female suffrage and his support for the black and tans in Ireland, but he learned from these errors and adapted his approach. After the First World War, Churchill held various ministerial positions, including Minister of Munitions and Minister of War and Air. He played a significant role in the creation of the Royal Air Force and later served as Chancellor of the Exchequer. Despite his lack of expertise in economics, he navigated the challenges of the post-war period, including the general strike of 1926. One of the defining moments of Churchill's career came in the 1930s, when he warned about the growing threat of fascism and Nazism in Germany. While many dismissed his warnings, he remained steadfast in his opposition to Hitler and the Nazis. He was a vocal critic of communism as well, recognizing the dangers posed by Soviet Russia. As the clouds of war gathered over Europe, Churchill found himself at odds with the policy of appeasement championed by Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain. Chamberlain's belief in avoiding conflict at any cost clashed with Churchill's conviction that appeasing Hitler would only embolden him further. Despite the challenges he faced in convincing others of the looming threat, Churchill remained resolute in his opposition to fascism and Nazism. When Chamberlain's leadership faltered in the face of the Nazi threat, Churchill stepped into the role of Prime Minister on May 1940. At the age of 65, he took on the immense responsibility of leading Britain through its darkest hour. With the British Expeditionary Force facing defeat in France and the specter of invasion looming large, Churchill's self-belief and sense of destiny sustained him through the darkest days of the war. Roberts highlights Churchill's unique perspective on Hitler and the Nazis, attributing it to three key factors. Firstly, Churchill's personal affinity towards Jews played a significant role in his early recognition of the dangers posed by the Nazis. Growing up with Jewish friends and witnessing their contributions to society, he had a deep-rooted respect for the Jewish community. This perspective allowed him to see through the anti-Semitic rhetoric of the Nazis and understand the true nature of their ideology. As an avid historian, Churchill was able to place the threat of Nazi Germany in the context of British history. Drawing parallels to past adversaries such as the Spanish Armada, Napoleon, and the First World War, he saw Hitler as the latest in a line of formidable foes. His deep understanding of historical patterns and strategic insight enabled him to identify Hitler as a significant threat to Western civilization. Having witnessed fanaticism in various forms throughout his life, Churchill was able to recognize the same traits in Hitler and the Nazis. From his experiences fighting on the Northwest frontier to encountering Islamic fundamentalism, he had a keen eye for identifying extremist ideologies. This familiarity with fanaticism allowed him to see through the facade of Nazi propaganda and understand the true nature of their regime. One of Churchill's most admirable qualities was his unwavering courage and conviction in the face of opposition. Despite being dismissed by many of his contemporaries, Churchill remained steadfast in his warnings about Hitler and the Nazis. He refused to change his message based on public opinion or political pressure, standing firm in his beliefs until he was ultimately proven right. Churchill's leadership style was characterized by his hands-on approach and ability to connect with people on a personal level. He was a micromanager who delved into the details of government operations and built strong relationships with his colleagues. His charm, wit, and calm demeanor in times of crisis endeared him to those around him, making him a natural leader in times of adversity. As Britain faced the imminent threat of invasion and defeat, Churchill rallied the nation with his stirring speeches and unwavering resolve. Despite the overwhelming odds stacked against them, he instilled a sense of hope and determination in the British people. His ability to inspire and unite the country in its darkest hour would ultimately be his greatest legacy. One of the key aspects of Churchill's leadership was his willingness to listen to his advisors and experts, particularly in matters of war. Roberts mentions how Churchill would engage in heated debates with his chiefs of staff, sometimes even bursting into tears if he didn't get his way. However, he was open to changing his mind if presented with better arguments, showcasing a democratic and pragmatic approach to decision-making. Roberts delves into the controversial topic of the Allied bombing campaign in Germany, particularly the bombings of cities like Dresden. He explains that while there was a moral debate surrounding the civilian casualties, the primary goal of the bombings was to expedite the end of the war by targeting key industrial and military infrastructure. The bombings were seen as a necessary strategy to weaken the German war machine and bring the country to its knees. While the bombings played a role in weakening Germany, Roberts emphasizes that it was the ground battles that ultimately led to the defeat of the Nazi regime. He points to key turning points like D-Day in the West and Operation Bagration in the East, where Allied forces dealt significant blows to the German military. The relentless pressure from both sides eventually led to the collapse of the Nazi regime. One of the most challenging decisions Churchill had to make was forming an alliance with Joseph Stalin, the leader of the Soviet Union. Despite his anti-communist beliefs, Churchill recognized the necessity of aligning with Stalin to defeat Hitler. The alliance with the Soviet Union was crucial in turning the tide of the war and ultimately securing victory for the Allies. As the war drew to a close, Churchill and the Allies faced the daunting task of dealing with the aftermath of the conflict. The Yalta Conference in 1945 saw discussions on post-war Europe and the division of territories. The challenge of managing the post-war world order, especially with Stalin's influence in Eastern Europe, loomed large for Churchill and the Western Allies. Roberts' insights into Churchill's leadership offer valuable lessons for today's politicians. In a world where political expediency often trumps moral courage, Churchill's example serves as a reminder of the importance of standing up for what is right, even in the face of adversity. His ability to see beyond the immediate context and understand the broader historical implications of events is a testament to the power of historical perspective in shaping decision-making.